when we look at Monsanto and DuPont and Dow, but sometimes it just looks like, I mean, isn't this going to be just hopeless? I mean, they just seem to just win, and the government seems to be bought out by them, and our legislators seem to, they're paying all of their, we have this tremendous problem with electoral reform. They're giving all their money so they can be elected. But that's really that's really not right at all, and on two major levels. One is we've actually defeated them many times. And yes, the Center for Food Safety, we're known for our legal victories, but it's also grassroots victories as well. So, over my period of time working on this, we've defeated through either market campaigns or through scientific work or straight litigation. We've defeated bovine growth hormone. Monsanto had to, sell that product because the labeling and litigation made it pretty much useless to them. There was the flavor saver tomato. The first genetically engineered, well, there turned out to be no, flavor to savor, and a marketing campaign got rid of that. The first genetically engineered potato, gone. Genetically engineered wheat, all right, through litigation and science and legal work, that's gone. Genetically engineered rice, that's not there, right? And so if you look at a huge number of these, I mean, imagine if all the rice out there were genetically engineered. Imagine if all the wheat out there were genetically engineered, right? Imagine if, all your animal products were genetically engineered. So there's been remarkable victories over these years that have kept some of our, there is not a single genetically engineered animal right now that is on the market, right? There's not a single genetically engineered food except this one sort of Botox apple that slices that may be out there that's on the market. And many of these things were stopped, as I mentioned, as well as wheat and rice and others have been stopped because of grassroots organizing and litigation. So we beat them over and over again, and we will beat them again in the future. Right now, we have already once stopped this Agent Orange crop from being out there. We're not back in litigation again. We're going to stop this dicamba from. We're in litigation to stop genetically engineered salmon from ever reaching our market. And if it does, it's going to have to be labeled according to the law that we got passed through Congress. Right? So that's one aspect. You can take them on and stop a lot of the bad things they're trying to do. But the other is the growth of the alternative. What is the fastest growing sector in the United States? Not GMOs. Organic. Fastest growing sector. What is the most popular label on all food in the United States? The non-GMO label. Number one. Right? And if you look around the world, there's actually far more organic, both certified and non-certified organic, in the world being grown than GMOs. Many more. Right? I often ask people, if you look around the world, what percentage do you think of our crops are GMO? And people go 40, 50. No, it's about 6%, 7%. It's been rejected around the world. So the picture is very, very different than the kind of pessimistic picture that the corporations, want to present out there. More and more people are saying no to industrial meat. More and more people are using farmers markets. They're growing all over the country. More and more people are using co-ops, right? So community-supported agriculture is everywhere. Organic is the fastest growing sector. And GMOs, and I'm happy to predict this and tell you, it will be the biggest failure in industrial agriculture. It's already on its way out. They got the science wrong, and they got the population wrong. They thought people would accept it. We're not accepting it. Ain't going to happen. And so you're going to see the end of the biotechnology so-called revolution within the next 5 to 10 years. Absolutely. And not just around the world, now in the United States as well. I mean, in non-GMOs everywhere, it's really important to understand that in the United States, the big force that was pushing genetically engineered foods was the Grocery Manufacturers Association, the GMA, right? Well, it turns out that people like Campbell's and Mars and Nestle's and Unilever have all left the GMA now, and they've taken their fees with them because that's an industrial trade organization. They rely on fees because they don't want to be part of this non-GMO labeling. They don't want to fight GMO labeling anymore. They don't want to fight transparency anymore. They want to be part of this new movement of the public that says we have the right to know. And more food companies are saying, you know what? And these are industrial food companies. We agree. You have the right to know. Forget you, GMA. So much so that GMA, in its recent comments to the United States Department of Agriculture, is now supporting GMO labeling, mandatory GMO labeling And they spent literally $110 to $20 million fighting it in the last 6 or 7 years. One of the terrible things among many that Monsanto has done to the American agricultural system is really what it's done to farmers. Monsanto is a little like the Mafia that way. They come into an area, they sell their genetically engineered corn to a certain number of farmers, and then they go to the other farmers and say, you know, Farmer X over there and Farmer Y, your neighbors, they're going to be planting GMO corn. Well, you know, the wind's going to carry over, you're going to get contamination. And when you get contamination, we're going to come on your farm, we're going to find our patented material, our patented genes, patented plants in your corn crop, and we're going to sue you. And here you are in Indiana, or here you're in Illinois, we're a multinational corporation, we've got the lawyers. What do you have? How are you going to fight us? And we're going to take your entire crop. You're going to go out of business. So you might as well buy the GMOs. It's the old protection racket, right? If you buy the GMOs, you're not going to get hurt. If you don't buy the GMOs, well, you're going to get contaminated, and we're going to come after you, and you're going to get sued, and you're going to be we're going to take you into St. Louis, wherever you live, because that's where we're going to have the court hearings, and you're going to be fighting good luck with you and your local lawyer fighting a multinational corporation. They've done this throughout the country, terrifying farmers. It's really, it's not just prosecution, it's persecution of these farmers and seed savers and seed cleaners. And if you want to get on our Center for Food Safety, www.centerforfoodsafety.org, we've issued reports that go through each one of these litigations and really show you how these farmers and seed savers and sometimes even small seed dealers have been sued. We try to give them the legal help that we can. There's been a couple of successes, but in general, it is really an unconscionable campaign by Monsanto to terrify, to persecute and prosecute, and thereby scare farmers into buying their products. One of the good things that there's been a number of states, and California is one of them, North Dakota, South Dakota, there's several states that because of our work have passed laws now that say you cannot sue farmers for accidental contamination. Monsanto and you other companies. So there are a few states that have protections in place, but most states don't. And so this little reign of GMO terror, Monsanto can still and is still using on America's farm communities. And it turns farmer against farmer. And it's really another tragic consequence of Monsanto's wanting to feed its bottom line. It's important to remember that the genetically engineered seed market is relatively limited, both in this country and around the world. We've got over 90% of corn, over 90% of soy, huge percentage of cotton, large percentage of alfalfa and sugar beets. And that's about it. That's about it. All your other fruits, all your other vegetables, all your other grains, no. And even those crops are primarily in North America and in parts of South America, Brazil and Argentina. Almost nowhere else in the world. Almost nothing in Europe, nothing in Africa, very little in Asia. So that is a whole different perspective. So yes, it's a huge percentage of those few crops, well over 90% in most cases. But as far as the whole group of seeds in the world, tiny, tiny percentage. And where they're being planted, in only a very few countries. About 90% of all GMOs are planted either in Argentina, Brazil, the United States, or Canada.